What's up, Robo Nation? How's it going? Braden here, one of the co-founders. This is another one of our Robo Live episodes. We're up to number 13. Today we have a really cool guest. We filmed, actually, a gentleman back probably, I would say, about 6 episodes ago that did some cool cosplay stuff. And since our audience loves cosplay so much, we decided to bring another guy on that's doing some amazing stuff. He's a cosplay, a prop builder. He's based out of Orlando, Florida. He's been working on creating his own costumes and his own prop creation since 2011. He owns the company that is called Invictus Cosplay, and he's just a really cool kid. So I'm going to bring him on. His name is Stephen Herron. If you guys have any comments, real quick, before we bring him on, any comments you have, just go ahead and type them below. I can bring them up on the screen. If you're like, go Stephen, you're the man, I can bring those up on the screen. And then if you have any questions too, I can ask him and bring them up for him to answer. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Stephen on. Stephen, let me add you to the split screen here. How you doing, buddy?
Doing great. How are you doing today?
Good. Reporting live. Thank you for coming on so late for you. You're over on the East Coast in Orlando, so I appreciate you coming on 8 o'clock. You can see it's probably dark in the background there. So,
hey, people don't go to bed around here till 2. So
yeah, nice, like Vegas over there.
Right.
How you doing, dude?
Doing great. Had a great day. Weather's beautiful down here.
Nice. Yeah. So you're 25 years old. I always start these things off with basically who is Stephen Herron. Tell everyone a little bit about your background and kind of what you do.
Well, my background is I was born and raised in Henderson, Kentucky, a small little town. Grew up where everybody knew everybody and loved the small town life. It was really cool. Yeah. My father is a professional magician, and I've watched him perform and entertain people my entire life. And so from the age of 10 until now, I have been a magician as well. And I've gotten to travel all over the country and perform for thousands of people. And I absolutely love it. And just this year, for New Year's Eve, my wife and I drove from Kentucky to Orlando and moved down here so we could pursue our dreams of being entertainers.
Nice. Cool, dude. That's epic. I love it. All right, so you're trying to be entertainers now. Tell me a little bit about how you got into 3D printing, because I know you do a lot of. You told me about the magician side, and then you also do obviously a lot of cosplay and prop building. How did you get into that side of 3D printing?
I would say it started back. Cosplay started for me back in 2011. I went to an art event at my high school, and they had this guy there who had all these costumes and a full-size speeder bike from Star Wars that you could actually get on. And this guy it blew me away because I loved art, but I never realized that I could love art and create things from other things that I loved and actually have them. And so that opened my eyes to a whole new world of replicas and props and costumes. Yeah. And so that got me really hot and heavy into the costuming and cosplay scene. And right about that time, 3D printers were only something that really big companies had, and they were the size of, a dishwasher, and they made these.
I was going to say, that's early on.
Right. They're really small things, and they're very intricate, and there wasn't a lot that people knew about them unless you were in a big company that had one. Yeah. And so you watch all these cosplayers and prop builders who have access to them early on, and they were making unbelievable things back then. And so that was something that I was always wanting. At someday, I'll have enough money, I'll be able to get one. I'll live somewhere that has one, and I'll be able to use one. And then we fast forward to 2016, and it's Christmas. My wife gives me my present, and it's my R1 Plus.
And then Robo comes along with a affordable 3D printer for everyone.
Exactly. We had literally that year, I saw it in Best Buy, and they had one on display, and I was like, this is amazing. Yeah. It's first time I've ever seen it in person, and it blew me away. And I never in a million years would have thought she would have got it, and she did. And from that night on, I've been printing nonstop. I don't think it's been turned off.
What you said about when you kind of were first exposed to like the cosplay creations where it sort of sparked your interest. We've seen, I think, a lot of those moments happen when we're at trade shows. and people just see our printer and then they see some of the stuff we have on display and they're like, oh, wow, like I can create all this at home, or I can do this, or I can build my next idea. And I think I like to be a part of that moment with a lot of people. And it sounds like you had that exact moment with someone else, and that's really cool. I think a lot of great ideas are just sparked with something as simple as that, right?
I think it's a light bulb that goes off that I joke with people all the time that, I have a 3D printer and now I can make all the toys that I never got as a kid. Yeah. And so now I can have them now. And it's just one of those things that you are only limited by however much passion you want to put into it. Yeah. Because I think passion breeds creativity, and creativity is what breathes life into all this kind of stuff. Oh,
totally. And we always talk about like this we sell a tool that inspires the passion within, right? That's what we want people. We want people to grab this tool, or we want them to take whatever their idea, whatever they're passionate about, to like the next level. And to learn how to use 3D design, to learn how to use this tool, to learn how to experiment with different materials, and to learn how to just take it to the next step. I think it's really important. It's something we like, is part of our mission, is part of our vision. And so it's good to hear you say that, because I 100% agree. Yep. And so you guys, you didn't know how to design by this point, right?
Oh, absolutely not. And that's something I'm still learning with. Okay. So it was one of those things that as soon as I got it, I immediately went to Facebook and said, is there a people that even know what this is? Am I the only person that has one of these? I have no clue. Did I get something great? And lo and behold, one of my really good friends who's also a cosplayer and has 2 R1 pluses. Yeah. I sent him a message. I was like, hey, you have a printer. I just got this. He's like, I have 2 of those. That's you got the best thing you could have got. That's amazing. Nice. And so he exposes me to like Thingiverse and My Mini Factory. Nice. And really those kind of places, you can find anything. And if you can't find it, you can find something close. And there's enough tools out there to learn how to modify something to be what you want it to be real easy.
Yeah, and like that's grown exponentially. I mean, we started building our first machine in 2012, and I mean, there wasn't that much content out there at that point. I mean, now you go in there, it's almost hard to not find something you need if you're looking for something. Like someone's needed it also that happens to be an okay designer or a great designer, and they've uploaded it for free. And so that community is incredible, especially, and honestly, I think cosplay has been driving a huge part of this community. It's creating a lot of things, inspiring a lot of people. And it's showing you like how complex you can actually take 3D printing, which I think is pretty amazing.
And I think my first thing I ever printed was a Christmas ornament. It was a spinning Pokestop from Pokemon Go. And it was one of those things that was on Thingiverse, and it wasn't too big, and I knew I could try it. And if it worked, it worked. And if it didn't, I would just keep trying again. And when I pulled it off the print bed, and I spun it, and everything's self-contained, and it's all spinning. Yeah. That was the moment that I realized that this was going to just change everything I did from then on out. Nice. From birthday presents to utility items around the house to props and replicas. I mean, I've made so much cool stuff that I never would have been able to do otherwise.
Yeah, you get it, which I love. I love people that get it. And sometimes people don't get it. Sometimes people get it and they're like above and beyond. And it sounds like you're one of those people, which is awesome. I love talking to people like that because you're going to take it farther than most will because you're already thinking about how you can take it to that next level. So you said, what design program are you experimenting with, or do you use primarily?
I started with the Matter Hacker program, and I really loved it. And especially the feature where when a print was done, it would send me a text. Yeah. Okay. That was the coolest thing. Yeah. And after talking to a few people, and probably I would say 8 months into having the printer, I decided to bite the bullet and try out Simplify 3D. Yeah, cool. And I've really had a great run with that so far. Nice. Cool. And it works really well for this. Awesome. Yeah, a lot of people like upgrading. I mean, Simplify's been around for a long time, and they make a phenomenal software. So completely understand people going to that advanced expert version for slicing software.
In terms of some of the, let's just dive in to some of the things you're creating and why you created them and what's your favorite piece. Tell me about some of the stuff you have. I think you have some stuff with you.
Oh yeah,
to show. So talk about. Let's bring up some pieces. Let's show them. Is your specialty? Do you spend a lot of time in post processing them?
I would say that is the thing that I'm most proud of is post processing.
Yeah.
Because the machine does the hard part. Really, yeah. I can't just produce any of this from thin air, but this can.
Yeah.
And it gives it a close enough finish out the gate that it doesn't take a lot, but if you'll put in the extra, it really does make a difference. Yeah. And I have more fun painting and weathering something to make it look old and used.
Oh, nice. You do weathering. Okay.
Oh,
that's
absolutely.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
Then something be brand new and shiny. There are some things that I want shiny and new, but most of my stuff has got a layer of grime. It's got, it looks like
it's been used, which is what you want, especially when you're creating cosplay and props. You don't want to necessarily look like a brand new phenomenal piece. You want to know that this makeshift machine gun was in battle, right? Whatever it may be that you're creating. I completely get it. That's awesome. And I like people that get into detail because those details can show your passion, like all the minute details. Like the amount of time that you probably in the stories you have of spending on like minute details is where all that passion kind of resides.
Oh yeah. I spend a lot of money on filler primer and sandpaper and spot putty. That is like, those three things are amazing. And I want to go, okay, this is what I want from this movie or this game. Yeah. If I could reach through the screen, if I could grab it and pull it out, what would it look like when it made it here? Yeah. And most of it's not the spectacular, brand new, out of the box kind of thing. Yeah. It's something that's gone through hell and back, Yeah,
most definitely. Let me see. Let's pull up. Let's talk about some of the pieces you have to show, just because I want people to actually see it.
So I think the thing
I'm bringing it on full screen here.
Most proud of is probably my Shore Trooper helmet. A friend of mine 3D modeled this before Rogue One came out. His name's Sean Fields. He's absolutely amazing. Oh, wow. And I 3D printed a full-size wearable helmet off of his free file. And it is 21 pieces made up on this.
My call's on here. My boy.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hey, and Mike knows what I'm talking about. So Sean's file is absolutely amazing, and he's actually done 3 versions since this one, and they keep getting better and better. And I'm still on V1, but this helmet
looks incredible here, though. Can you bring it closer to the screen because I want people to see some of the details that you've done.
So this is one of the type of things I absolutely love.
I mean, it's just incredible. I mean, I could tell it obviously took. How long did it take to finish this entire piece?
So
if you had to estimate.
I kept painting and sanding and more paint and more shoe polish and everything. I probably put 40 hours into this one just finish.
Yeah.
And that's not even talking weathering. So
Mike already made a little comment. He obviously knows you as well. Apparently our community is really connected, which I absolutely love. Yeah, I find out, I'll go to a show and I'll meet like multiple kind of our users that are together that have either met each other on the forums or something, and they're like working on projects together. It's just really cool to see that. So Michael, we've known that guy forever. So
we have 2 people here in the comments. One's Michael and one's Jeff. Yeah. And before I had my own printer, I became friends with Michael. He had a printer, and he was gracious enough to offer printing services to some of us in the cosplay community. And it was cheaper than Shapeways, and we knew we were getting a great finished piece, and Michael killed it. And so then when I got my printer, I got to work with Michael and Jeff both to help me kind of fine tune some things. Jeff helped me put together Spider-Man Homecoming lenses that were really just phenomenal. Went above and beyond with that, and those guys are incredible guys, and I've learned a lot from them.
My business partner over here wanted to know. He said he wanted to like. Are you designing? Are you getting into more of like the actual designing your own from scratch, or are you printing and doing most of the post processing as your technique or your expertise?
Right now, I'm doing mostly printing and post processing.
Okay.
Finding a file online already available, or purchasing a file and just doing the finishing work to it to make it museum quality is what I want it to be.
That piece that you have, which looks amazing, go through that process. You got it. It's multiple pieces. You print off the platform. Are you using super glue to put it together? How are you doing all of it?
Yeah, this whole thing. And if you look inside, you can see all the different color filaments, everything in there. Yeah. The inside's not finished, and it doesn't have to be because you'd never see that.
And but plus, it kind of reminds you of the process
where you came from. Oh, absolutely. That's why under here is not finished, because I want people to see how smooth this is versus how that came off the printer. You know, and cool. So 21 pieces. I used super glue and a quick set to kind of set the quick bond all the pieces, and then it's just a lot of sanding and wet sanding. I print primarily in PLA, and so wet sanding is like a dream come true if you want to get a really just glass finish on anything.
You go from high grit to low, or low grit to high grit, or how do you?
Low to high. Low to high, and then I always have the most fine grit of steel wool that I can get. To do last touches and to add to weathering too.
Nice.
So yeah, I want to get into more of the creating the files aspect. It's just that is a learning curve that I'm coming at from a very steep angle. I'm going to get there eventually, but right now I want to know that I can finish something that someone else made. That way, when I do finally get to where I make something, it'll be perfected. Yeah.
By the way, I have my little I have my Master Chief helmet here.
That's amazing.
Which we did, which has the little lights on it as well.
Wonderful.
Which is a lot of fun. So that's my cosplay creation.
There you go.
So
everybody starts somewhere.
Too. Yeah. Obviously Master Chief is where everyone kind of begins, and then they go off from there. We've done some pretty cool stuff. I mean, this isn't. But we finished this. We had one of our guys here actually does some pretty amazing finishing. All right, so you have all the pieces. You super glue them together. You're sanding, low grit, high grit. You're using steel wool to kind of polish final pieces. In this whole process, you're priming, you're bondoing, you're doing all that as well.
Absolutely. So like I said, I use filler primer, which if it's an automotive primer, if you want to make quick work of a finishing job on a 3D print, hit it with a couple layers of filler primer, and
filler primer, everyone, pay attention.
It almost eats away the lines, where this has got some lines, right? This one, I had a can of filler primer. You can tell how glossy that is.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Right?
Huge difference,
It's a big difference, but I was impatient and just wanted to make something.
Yeah.
I had the right tools.
So are you sanding it and then filler primer after you sand it the first time?
I sand everything first as soon as it comes off the print bed. That way I can try and knock down those lines as best as I can. And then I hit it with filler primer. And once that is totally dry, I sand that. And then hit it with a different color regular primer. And I alternate, and I probably do way more layers of primer than anyone needs. This probably weighs 3 pounds extra just from paint alone.
That's great though. Sometimes that's what you need to do.
It comes off way better in photos and videos and in person than if I hadn't taken that extra time.
Are you going to events and showcasing these, or where? Or I know you share them online. So. Which is another thing. Go follow Invictus Cosplay on Facebook, and we'll do a little shout out at the end of that. But you're building your audience on there. I think you have almost 2,000 people on there that are following you. So I know you upload pictures there, but do you go to events? Where do you show these things off?
So mainly right now it is online since we just moved to the Orlando area. But before we moved, I was going to Comic-Cons and conventions and all kind of stuff down there. My most recent one was for the big eclipse that was happening. In Hopkinsville, Kentucky, they had one called EclipseCon. And so I got to go to that and be a guest, and they had me set up my printer and actually do a whole talk on using 3D printing in cosplay, kind of what we're talking about. And I did a whole hour and a half talk on how to get into it, best things to do, and
that's awesome.
my whole finishing process.
Oh, nice. Yeah. If people go and follow you, do you update them with all your events that you're going to? So
absolutely.
Come check it out. Because I know, like I said, we have a big community of cosplay users and makers, and and we're continuing to look at other ones that we can, work with, big influencers, things like that are in that community, because we know it's like such a great community to push 3D printing forward. So I know a lot of people would probably want to go check them out and see some of your stuff and talk to you about your process and maybe share some of their processes, because I know you guys all communicate together about some of that stuff. You can get some hints. Is there a specific secret you have about, like, maybe a detail that you can get that maybe you're not seeing other people doing? Is there anything that off the top of your head? I know weathering was something that was kind of unique. I know other people do certain things with aging, and like in the steel wool thing, using it as a device to get you some weathering look and feel is kind of unique in itself. Is there anything else?
I don't think I have a secret that anybody else doesn't have, but my go-to that can change the entire look and feel of a prop, 3D printed or not, is one of the cheapest and easiest things in the world to use, and it's shoe polish.
There we go. That is a secret right there. Shoe polish.
It's silly to say, but you can paint a gold statue, right? Yeah. So this is a miniature of the fertility statue from Indiana Jones. Okay. I have a full-size one over there. But you can paint this with gold paint, but if you want it to look like it's bronze or brass, you take this same thing while it's gold, and you go and you get this shoe polish but brown, and you just put it all over, and you let it sit for a little bit, and a paper towel, and just dab it up, and it'll turn that from gold to a bronze. And I've made a couple Wonder Woman tiaras when the movie was out for some people. This is that same thing. So this is gold here, right?
Yep.
This is a Hand of the Kingpin. That is the exact same gold, but with brown shoe polish and black shoe polish. Oh, yeah,
that looks amazing.
And
that's cool.
This is aged, where this is shiny and new like the movie. Nice. So this is supposed to look nice, and this is supposed to be from Game of Thrones. So
hey, that is one nugget for our cosplayers right there. If they're looking to age things, make them look a little more bronze. I know Michael, when I had Michael on the feed here on the live, he shared some of his nuggets too. So, and we actually are doing a bunch of blogs on his post-processing techniques, which is really cool. So we're sharing
that's awesome
stuff with our audience. So maybe we can get you on it. I think we have a 3-part series with them. So on the third one, maybe we can get you to throw some stuff in there too, and kind of help out with some of that content. All right, cool. So kind of went through some of your stuff. Do you have any other pieces there you want to show?
I think the coolest thing is
I saw you had the mask from Jim Carrey. Was that what that was?
It is. I don't know how you saw that, but
because I was clicking on the feed, but I wasn't actually live on it, and I saw you like testing your camera.
Gotcha. So I brought this out. This is not 3D printed, but this is how I started in cosplay. This is foam floor mat, and so I hand carved this and cut it with an X-Acto and heat shaped it. And so this was my 3D printing before I had 3D printing. So everything was this level. And did it save you a lot of time going to the 3D printing in terms of or did it just allow you to do a lot more complexity? I'm assuming. I'm going to say it saved me time and complexity, because to get this foam mask to look as good as one that I could 3D print, I would have to spend triple the amount of time it would take to print and finish the mask from my printer. So it's definitely saved me time and resources to just be able to print whatever I want.
Okay, so now I want to get into one more thing that you were kind of talking about. We've been back and forth on email. Is now, and you mentioned you're kind of getting into entertaining and doing magic, and are you using 3D printing in magic?
I am working on using it in magic. I know several magicians that are using 3D printing to create props and gimmicks and things to make magic tricks work. And it is something that as soon as I saw 3D printers in a scale that was anybody could have, I immediately realized that this was something that I needed to have a magic act around because
it would set you apart too.
Exactly. An original magician would reach into show an empty hat and reach into a hat and pull out a rabbit. A 21st century magician should be able to have a 3D printer and reach into a 3D printer and pull out something just as cool, but better. So I am taking my creativity and the abilities that this printer has and trying to put them together to create something very different, very unique, and something that's going to make people go, that's really cool. And that's what I want.
Awesome. Yeah, what's funny is that when we first were doing shows and whatnot, everyone that came up looked at it and goes, it's like magic. That was always what they said. And whether they heard someone say it or something, like it just looks like it's like magic. I don't even get it. It's just magic. And they just kept saying that. So when you said you were kind of using it because now you've been a magician, but now you're, taking it to the next level and you're going to become an entertainer and that I was like, okay, this is sort of connecting the dots from a long time ago, which is what we heard so much of. So I definitely want to hear more about that as you kind of move along that journey. I think that's extremely interesting and something we obviously haven't seen before or heard from, even though maybe some of our customers are there, we just don't hear it. But I definitely want to hear more about when you get into that. So
I have a new act that I'm working on, and it'll be about a 5-10 minute act, and I will be using the 3D printer to build the bones of the act. You won't know that anything in the act is 3D printed, but this is going to make a magic trick that would not be possible for me. And so that's something new and exciting that I can't wait to get wrapped up on.
Yeah, you can't tell your secrets yet. So
yeah, that's the hard part about being a magician. You can't reveal any secrets.
Yeah, I usually always end these things asking like, what's your next creation you want to take 3D printing to, or where do you want to go with your 3D printer? But it sounds like you're already on your way to doing it at the next level. And, hopefully we see you on the big stage at some point. If I could go to Vegas and see you on stage doing magic, using the 3D printer, it'd be like the coolest thing in my life. So
absolutely.
I'm rooting for you big time. And before we get out of here, obviously I want to give you the chance to tell everyone to follow you. So give us all Facebook, Invictus Cosplay. Do you have Instagram, YouTube?
Yeah, so not big on YouTube right now. I have a couple YouTube's videos up, some very basic tutorials. One with the foam, how to use foam to make it look like wood, and several tutorials on how to weather things and give them that good aging. So if you just look up Stephen Herron on YouTube, it's easiest to find one video on YouTube, and then you can find everything else. So if you find Stephen Herron,
his name's right there too. So the spelling is there, and I think it's on this post also, so you can see it on both of them. So go check that out on YouTube. Watch his videos.
I am on Twitter, but primarily just Facebook and Instagram. So anywhere you can find any social media platform, if you just type in Invictus Cosplay, you'll find me there. A lot of my tutorials and everything are on my Facebook page, and those are a lot of fun. I show you how to take something as simple as a $5 toy from Walmart and turn it into something that could be used on an indie movie set. So. Oh,
sweet. That's awesome. Go check them out. Follow them. Do you do any lives about like any magic lives?
I need to start.
Yeah, I think that would be kind of cool.
That would be.
It's almost like the new age, the 21st century street magic online.
Facebook Live,
like Twitch style or something. Yeah. That'd be really cool. So I don't know, just keep throwing some ideas out there, but keep up the great work. Thank you so much for coming on and inspiring people. We'll have a story up on YouTube. Like I said, if you have any comments, go ahead. You can type them after the fact, after you watch this, even though we're not live. And if you have a specific question, I'll reach out to Stephen and we'll get the answers. So thank you for everyone for tuning in. Thank you for liking. Thank you for commenting. Stay tuned for the next one. This is number 13. So we're going to keep these going and we're going to make some amazing stuff out of these in the future. So thanks for coming on, Stephen. I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you.
All right. Talk to you soon.